But honestly, like, do it, and it's going to be a good experience, and you're going to retain player base more, especially before you go into, let's say, Steam that has a ton of eyes, ton of player base. That's your opportunity. You f that up. Do I think Arena Breakout will grow in popularity? Well, I think that it poses a really big opportunity when they go to Steam. I think Steam is going to be, you know, obviously it's a big platform, lots of eyes. My main concern though is if they don't put in like some framework on some stuff. So like I've recommended this back in closed beta like 7 months ago. Things like anti-cheat compensation, which is coming in November. In the creator discords there, one of the admins said that that's kind of the next big content patch. So in November, I think towards the end of November, we're going to see cheater compensation. They're going to give you back your entire kit. So it's not going to be coin compensation. It's going to be your entire kit back, which is great. But I don't know to what parameters. In my opinion, it doesn't matter if you're the first person that cheater account killed, or you're the 100th game and 1000th player that cheater account killed. You should get your shit back, not just that last match. I'm afraid that it might just be the last match. We'll see. They're also going to come out with TV Station, and that's going to be the ending of season 1. So some stuff is coming around the corner, but I think another thing that would really benefit the game, and I think they really need to consider this, you need to consider limitations to what you can bring into every single mode. So like an example would be, in normal, you can only kit out up to tier 3 armor, and they restrict a bunch of other things that you can't bring into that mode. So like, let's say you can't bring in tier 4 or pierce level 4 ammo and above. What that'll do is it'll kind of pan out the value of gear depending on the different modes. The other thing that they need to do is like lockdown right now, 100k entry is a fucking joke. It's a fucking joke. Even at tier 3 with like shit ass stuff, you're like 200k. With tier 4, you can be like 500k. It makes no fucking sense. Increase the bottom bar, you're gonna get less people just going out in a fucking Mosin with GS2s or something. So they need to address those types of things. And I think there should be an increase to that bottom. And then same thing, like a limitation in lockdown. Let's say lockdown, you can only bring up to say tier 4 or tier 5. I think tier 5 makes sense. And then much the same. Item restrictions, etc. for the different modes. Like, people will sit there and argue until they're red on the face, being like, it's my risk reward if I want to bring tier 6s into normal. No, fuck you, nerd. All you want is a fucking easy fight. And all you're going to do is push away new players coming into the fucking game. No, that's wrong. Shouldn't be a thing. And you need to police it. Otherwise, people will not. They won't do it. They're going to continue abusing those types of things. So, no, you need to put in some sort of framework for it. And thermals need to be removed. Or like a hard counter to them. Like, I think if they were to add a stim to like control your body temperature and bring it down, I think Tarkov does that. You know? And so be it. But currently right now, thermals are fucking idiotic. They're stupid. They mitigate everything in the entire game. They trivialize everything in the game. They're so bad for the experience. And I just think they need to be removed. You know, when I think about like things that can improve a game, like you got to look at it in all directions. Like I remember me recommending to like have different thresholds to like gear score for the different modes, and someone was like, that's only because you want to play more competitively. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, you mean that you're going to go in there and play non-competitively against someone thermals and fucking tier 5 and 6 and normal? Fuck off. I just think that the best types of fights are the ones that are like bruisey. And what I mean by that is like back and forth, you know, there's some give and take in the fight. You love killing people with thermals? Well, it's because it's easy. And it's fun killing things. I get it. But subjectively, it's terrible for the game. Terrible for the game. Thermals are dumb. Also, they need duo mode. This like solo AI bullshit. I think it's more exciting from a developer standpoint than it is from an actual gamer standpoint. Give us a duo mode, because most people have like that one other friend that they can jump in with. And if any solo is playing, if they take out a team of 2, then it's really rewarding. Another problem right now is like there's so many bush Wookiees because the risk reward scaling doesn't make any sense. So I'll elaborate a little bit. Currently right now, goes back to that 100, let's say lockdown. We'll just use lockdown as a comparison. The lockdown entry is 100K, okay? Meaning that all of the loot in the match for lockdown is based around the concept of 100K loadout. So anybody wanting to actually go out in a tier 4 kit, you're way over that period. So anybody that wants to go in right at 100K, their risk reward is fucking skyrocketed. Well, Zeegs, why don't you go to Forbidden? Well, if you go to Forbidden, you're going to be running against tier 6, tier 5, and you need the top ammo. Otherwise, it's uncompetitive. You're at a fucking huge disadvantage with that. So by increasing the bottom line of 100K to like say 253 range, that would mean that people could go into normal if they wanted with say up to tier 3. You could scale the loot for that in that concept. And then you would change the loot in lockdown to be more appropriate to the 300K mark, meaning that you going into the game not only would make looting more valuable and you wouldn't just have to sit in a fucking bush and the only person that would be worthwhile is a PvP kill, because that's the way that it is right now. Even Forbidden, the loot is fucking trash. They need to like rework it all, which that is coming. They are reworking the loot. They did say that. I don't know when. You need to increase the loot that you find in places like this to incentivize people to actually go out and look for it. And then probably compounded with that, honestly, give more extraction options. I like the idea of like you can use the toolkit on or the toolbox on valleys, or you know the abandoned shack key or something like that. Like, love those ideas. We need more of that, because what that would make is make it so people can't just go to the common extract, the one that's in the fucking map. Like, you know, this is normal, so there's 2 of them, but a lot of the time it's just one, right? Or this, it's like you got 3 options. Having more extract options would make it so just sitting in a fucking bush doesn't always pay, because there's so many other options for players. It would make people forced to be more active in not only looting, but also PvP fights. I swear to God, like, I don't feel like my opinions are anything like outlandish or crazy. It feels like you have a problem and a simple solution, and yet you just try to beat a dead horse in a different direction, and it just makes no sense to me. Like, sure, it might be a little bit of work to like, you know, adjust things, like what can be used in different modes and whatnot. But honestly, like, do it, and it's going to be a good experience, and you're going to retain player base more, especially before you go into, let's say, Steam that has a ton of eyes, ton of player base. That's your opportunity. You f that up. The only people that are going to stay around are the super passionate ones. At some point, you're just going to run into Chads, cheaters, and thermals. Is that fun? I don't know. The game's so fun. I really enjoy the gameplay loop. The gunplay feels nice. The QOLs are fantastic. And I just hope that the player base doesn't get killed by relentless cheating. And the fact that they're doing no economy resets, I mean, you really have to make the scaling make sense. The gradual increase of wealth makes sense. The fights make sense. Otherwise, you're just going to run into people with tier 6s all the time, eventually.
The streamer on Twitch is really talented. This gameplay is immaculate.